Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Numbers, America's only father and son polling show. I know that seems pretty niche, but y'all seem to like it, and we like being with you. So today, Andrew and I are going to go through a bunch of polling and a bunch of political news in the country to get you up to date. I think we were off last week, so we're back with you.
Yeah.
And let's get started. Andrew, what do you want to start off with?
We took last week off, but in that time, there have been a huge number of new polls.
Especially
some pretty high quality likely voter polls out of New York Times, CNN. I think we're going to take a look at some of those today. So this is the Ohio governor's race, depending on how
Senate race.
Senate race.
There's the governor.
Excuse me.
There's the governor.
Oh yeah. There's the governor. Sorry, these look identical. So we got two very close races here. Amy Acton versus Vivek Ramaswamy. And one thing we talked about before the show. And one thing that's important to point out here is these 65 plus voters.
Yep.
So Ramaswamy,
old folks,
old. It's an old state, and these are likely voters being polled in this poll right now. So 65 plus among likely voters, those are some really high propensity voters. 65 plus, they are much more likely to vote than other age cohorts, and they're only going for Ramaswamy by 49. And I know that may not seem like a small number. That may seem significant, but for a Republican, it's not great. And I think there are probably some reasons, some fairly obvious reasons why he's not doing so well with 65 plus voters, and maybe not as well with white voters as you might expect. And
could it be something with MAGA hating all foreigners?
I think it has something to do with race and religion. I'm just throwing that out there. And of course, that isn't a hit coming from us, from Ramaswamy, but this is the reality. These voters in Ohio, older white voters in Ohio, are not necessarily comfortable with a brown Hindu man being their governor. And
Fact.
That is the way it is, unfortunately. But I think he'll suffer for it. And Amy Acton has other advantages beyond that, of course. For all of these Democratic candidates who are running in these red states where Republicans are trying to hold on to these open seats, especially, Republicans don't have the incumbency advantage, and Republicans have this huge environmental advantage that we've talked about a million times.
Well, one thing I think people should know, and I didn't have this stat off the top of my head, but I just pulled it out. 50 and older voters make up 65% of the Ohio electorate. It is an old state, folks. And if he's only tied there, and look at her numbers with 18 to 29s and with 30 to 44s, I mean, this is a rough go for Ramaswamy if he's not pushing higher numbers in that, especially in the 65 plus category. But in any case, he's going to have to up that number because that's not an environment that's great for him.
And something similar played out in the Republican primary.
Sure,
Ramaswamy was popular with sort of the MAGA online. He had some motion online, but he was not taken seriously. And I think a lot of voters in Ohio are not going to take him seriously as a candidate, other than the fact that he has an R by his name. He's not held political office before. I don't even, how long has he lived in Ohio? I haven't looked that up, but
it's his residency in Ohio has been questioned by a lot of people.
So he's at a disadvantage, and in a close race like this, when you're looking at likely voters and it's 47-47, you're kind of throwing the dart, but I do think the vast weight of the advantages in this race are leaning towards Amy Acton. You see a close race, and it will be on election night. It will be very close.
Yes.
And to be clear, we've talked about Democrats have a lot of opportunities this year and could win some of these red state seats. But that doesn't mean that these races are going to be, Democrats aren't going to be running away with a lot of these races. They're going to be really close, 1, 2, and 3 points. And that's what I foresee in this governor's race. I remember, there's not an ultimate prize for winning enough governor's races, but it is important. And this will be, I think, if Acton is winning, a leading indicator of how well Democrats are going to do in these Senate races in the Midwest, and how well, what we'll see across these other similar states like Ohio, like Iowa, like Michigan,
right?
Even Wisconsin. So this will tell us about those races, and we'll see. I think we should take a look at these Senate numbers too.
Yeah,
interesting as well. So this is Sherrod Brown versus Jon Husted. A very close race. Ohio likely voters. I don't necessarily know what the margin is on this poll. I'm guessing it's 4-ish since it's 600 people. 601. So
yeah, call it 4. Call it
4. So we're inside the margin here, inside the margin of error. So this race could really go anywhere. But
again, this is folks. It's so different from when Sherrod ran the last time, because I think the red tide in Ohio is sort of peaked or is now fully in diminishment.
Yeah. And if you think about, you connect this to the damage that Trump has done personally to these states, whether it be ag, tariffs, all that stuff, that's a through line in these Midwest states, and it's very harmful for Republicans. And one of the things that people out there should be looking for is, if you're talking to someone, if you're maybe a canvasser or you're talking to your family about these elections,
right?
One of the things to weasel out is, how closely do they associate these candidates with Trump? And that'll tell you, if they very closely associate some of these candidates with Trump and they're sort of middle of the road, maybe they voted for Trump in 24, maybe they regret that. I think it's very likely that the closer the association with Trump, the less likely these swing voters are to end up voting for him.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing we should also look at, we've got some information just this morning. Cook Political has moved a bunch of races in their assessment.
Yeah.
And this one is frankly all good news. And I even the Oregon number is all good news. Walk us through these, Andrew, as where you see these races right now.
So Arizona, we still have not had our primaries yet, but it's going to be Biggs. It's Biggs by a mile.
Oh, it's Biggs. For sure.
In the primary polling that we've got, of course, Katie Hobbs. It's moved from toss-up to lean Democrat. The Poly market, I looked this morning, has Hobbs at 78%, a chance of winning. I think, she's got
Biggs is a train wreck.
Train wreck. And
crazy man.
He's very unpopular in these independent suburbs, these places where swing voters live.
Yep.
Of course, that's Scottsdale. It's all these surrounding suburbs.
It's the ring around Phoenix of younger, newer suburbs.
Right. And then Ohio has moved from lean Republican to toss-up. This is I think it's sort of trailing what I think is going to happen. I don't know if it's going to move out of toss-up. I don't know if Cook is going to move out of toss-up this year. But I think we'll probably move towards a lean Democratic environment as things go on. It's this losing all these goverships will, like I said, there's no big prize for it. You don't win for having.
There's an impact in 28
right
on that, which is good, but it's not. Right. It's not immediately going to stop the MAGA, the fascist curious experiment.
No. Maine has moved. Maine is no longer competitive, according to Cook. So they've moved it from solid Democratic to this is not a competition. Democrats are going to hold this seat regardless of whatever else happens in Maine.
Has Collins traditionally she's outrun the governor's race traditionally, right?
She's outrun the governor's race and outperformed her polling in general.
So I know she's outperformed her fucking polling. God bless.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a great story on election morning in 2020. One of her people called me, a guy I've known for years and years, who's working on her campaign. He goes, "You fuckers, God damn you, you blew us out. You fucking killed her. Our last poll last night showed her losing by 2 points. You motherfucker." He was so mad at me. He was just ripping me up one side and down the other. And then she won.
Yep. Yeah. She's defied polling in several of her.
Because she worships an oily black rock.
Susan Collins, oily Blackstone. I think we're starting to all put it together. If there was gonna be a place where an oily Blackstone fell from the cosmos, it's Maine.
It's Maine.
So I'm just saying, we don't know for sure, but yes, Collins has outperformed her polling several times in the past. Although, of course, running for Senate, and Maine's governor's race moving off the map, I think, it's hard for me to tie those implications back to the Senate race. I don't necessarily know what's going to happen there. We're starting to see a few Democrats pop their heads up to replace Platner.
Yep.
That's a tough situation.
Yeah.
And maybe we can talk
New
about
Mexico. I don't think we ever really. I don't think we
never
ever
really
thought-
suspected this was gonna have any rightward motion. Of course, that's not the case. We have again, this is another race moving off the competitive map.
Yeah.
So it's moved from solid D to non-competitive,
Right.
and that's a big sign.
Spend your money elsewhere, donors.
Yes, spend your money elsewhere. This is not a race that is going to need a lot of resources necessarily. No. That would be different if we were talking about a non-competitive Republican race or a slightly more competitive Republican race. Republicans are going to be on the defense in a lot of these elections. But moving on, Oregon has moved from solid D to likely D. So this is the only one of these five race ratings that they've changed that has moved from left to right. And that has a lot to do.
I would like to remind our Democratic friends that Oregon, the minute you're about 1 foot out of Portland, it's Alabama.
Yes.
And Tina Kotek is governed like it is all Berkeley everywhere and all Portland everywhere. And she's not prospered. She's not done well.
She's not popular. Her job approval rating has sunk. We don't have the exact numbers here. Now, it moving from solid Democratic to likely Democratic, I think it's just an indication of this is just a read of her polling. I don't think it's necessarily.
I think it's a 1-to-1. There's no Republican surprise in the wings here.
I do not think so.
No.
Now, is it going to be a closer race because of her poor job approval rating? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a Republican win? I doubt it.
And one of the things that has hurt her a lot is, weirdly, not her fault completely, but the ag community has suffered greatly because of tariffs.
Yes.
And it's not her fault, but that is something that urban rural divide in Portland, where people outside of Portland feel like Portland hates them, and it does, by the way.
Yeah.
Just so you were clear, the idea that there's a big urban rural split in the state is what drives a lot of this talk about Eastern Oregon seceding or moving over to become part of Idaho, and all this other madness. So
yeah, and you see these dynamics in a lot of these Western states, especially where there's a big urban center, and outside of that is a vast rural hinterland. You get the same effect with like Nebraska's 2nd congressional district.
Yeah,
you have an urban area that's blue. The rest of Nebraska is Nebraska as you can imagine it. It is cornfields, rural, everything like that. And of course, it's deep red.
But this year, the weirdness that's out there in Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa, even those red areas outside of the cities are like, these tariffs are not good.
Yeah, and
You're killing us, Don.
In 2024, one of the things we saw, and one of the things I was really looking closely at, was Georgia, and how Trump padded his win in Georgia with these rural counties and these rural areas.
Yeah.
And it's 500, 1,000, 2,000 votes here and there in these little rural counties, but it added up to bring him to the numbers that he needed.
Well,
so this is speaking of Georgia. Jon Ossoff, he's cooking. We love Ossoff.
killing
the Collins campaign is having some
when you're on your third chief of staff in 1 year and we're only in the 7th month of the year, something's wrong.
Something's wrong, and I don't see a reversal. You know, when you start firing people from your campaign and your office, this is a slippery slope.
I did some ads for his dad back in the day, who was a sort of bushy kind of, you know, Georgia conservative but not insane Republican.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good about Ossoff. He holds on to that seat very strongly. And in Georgia, he is well loved. And of course, he's now becoming more popular nationally. And 2028, I would be surprised to see Jon Ossoff not on the stage for the Democratic primary.
Yeah, I think Ossoff is, and he is most improved by a long way. In 2021, during the special, we helped. Lincoln Project did a lot of work both to help Ossoff and Warnock. And at the time, we were like, yeah, Warnock is so gifted. He's a great communicator. Ossoff's a good guy, but he was not the communicator he is today. And
I remember him being stiff.
Yeah, he was kind of stiff. He was kind of a decent but not amazing candidate. And now he's entered into that like A tier.
Yeah, he seems to have
S tier.
He seems to have evolved and grown in his career, and that's a sign, I think, for 2028. I really do. I think Ossoff, if not 2028, then the future. He does have a
young
long political career ahead of him.
Plenty of time.
Yes.
Now, I think Jackson has a ton of money. He's very, very wealthy and also very, very rich. Bottoms, look, she's making the Georgia bet that she can rev up African-American turnout. Folks, the Atlanta is surrounded by what they call the donut of counties. And the northwest corner of the donut is very white, very Republican, very conservative. That was like Marjorie Taylor Greene territory, Newt Gingrich territory up there. The rest of the donut, the upper right-hand corner of the donut, more liberal, white.
It's sort of slashed down the middle from east
purple-ish,
to west.
Let's call it.
Yeah.
The bottom half of the donut is African-American. Savannah, Augusta, big African-American populations out in parts of the state. Southwest Georgia, high African-American percentage, but diffuse across the counties. Can you tell I've done races in Georgia? And so she's making a bet she can rev up African-American turnout in the donut, win over enough moderate white voters in the Buckhead northeast corner of Atlanta, and rev up African-American turnout elsewhere across the state, Savannah in particular.
It
could work.
It could work. I do hate to doomsay here, but this is one of those states that loves to split its tickets.
Oh, yes.
You will see Ossoff Jackson voters. I know that sounds bizarre. Or you'll see Ossoff no governor voter. I mean, you will see that happen. This is a state full of ticket splitters. Of course, we've had these Democratic senators and a Republican governor for a long time.
Yep.
In Georgia. So that could complicate things for Bottoms.
Yeah. There's also a weird urban-rural African-American voter behavior divide in Georgia.
Very much so. The African-American voters in Savannah and inside the perimeter in Atlanta are significantly different from those who are living outside Columbus, living outside Augusta, living in like the Ocoee area. So there is a major divide there. It's major is probably overstating it, but there is a difference between measurable divide in those two demographics. So that is a tough race to call. With the ticket splitting, with the different kind of voter behavior you see inside the cities and outside, I would say this is one of those races that is worth investing in for donors and for the party. Because it really could be a pickup. You really could win this election. From what we're seeing in the polling. That said, it could turn into a giant vacuum for cash.
I also think there's an argument that was made to me recently that Trump had an activation effect of rural Georgia voters that Jackson will not bring and Collins will not bring.
I think that's very possible.
Same juice.
Yeah,
all right,
I think
we're being told to move on. Ooh,
Are we being told to move on?
We're getting sassy over here in the production chat. All right, Michigan primary.
Michigan Senate primary. Oh gosh. I don't know. You know, I have not seen the general election polling here, but Al Said.
I was a McMorrow voter, but that's just me.
Yeah, jeez,
she's out.
She's just
sadly.
too goofy for me. Stevens, I think, will ultimately pull this out. What I worry about is a bloody primary, and that leaves the progressive side of the party
doing what they do, which is stomp off in a huff.
Yeah, bitterness is sort of characteristic of that wing of the party, especially in this part of the country. I'm skeptical. I'm worried about this primary. That said, I think that Said actually may perform okay in a Senate primary in Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't think he would be a loser out the gate.
I mean, he's really going to end up having to run a race where he maximizes Oakland County.
Yes.
And Dearborn. And Stevens is going to have to run a race where she maximizes African-American turnout and every other rural Democrat in the state and every other like rank and file Democrat in the state. But I haven't honestly. That is so close, guys. It's going to be that's going to get real loud.
When is this primary? I should know this. But,
I don't know the answer to that off the top.
I have my whole calendar here.
I really don't. I think it's August. Yeah, Sean says it's August 3rd. I think that's
August 3rd. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Or is it the 4th? Because that's Monday.
Well, you've got the El Sayed thing is also going to be another test of the DSA style Democrats. So you're going to probably see a lot of Bernie, a lot of Mamdani, a lot of AOC, a lot of Ilhan Omar people out there doing what they can to boost him. So
we got a comment here that says the problem with El Sayed is that he could juice our turnout in opposition.
I think that's not untrue.
Really good point based on what we've been seeing from the president for the last few days.
Right.
Where he has been talking about communism. This is their thing now. This is what they're going to be talking about through.
They wrote a piece about it this week. They're all about the commies, even though they're an imaginary demon.
They are an imaginary demon. El Sayed is not a communist. I think by his own admission, he's a socialist.
Yeah.
And there is a difference. That said, they will try to hang this around his neck, and I think it will work in some cases. With these DSA Democrats, it will definitely work with some of them. And it's going to sink some of these folks. So that's got to be in the calculus in these primary elections.
You can't pretend it's not.
Yeah.
Stevens is a lot harder to beat with that. And look, the reason they're talking about communism, folks, is not because they believe the Democrats are actually communists. They know that their audience is stupid.
Yes.
And they know that they listen to Fox. And if you watch Fox right now, if you counted the number of times they say the word communist every day, you can make a graph of it.
And some of these Fox voters have for 40 years been trained like clapping seals to associate the Democratic Party with communism, socialism, the USSR, the Red Scare, all this stuff. So it's not difficult to turn that on, and they're going to turn it on in a major way. You'll see it on Fox. I guarantee they'll. And we have a Bartiromo clip, I think.
Yeah.
That's talking about socialism.
Yeah, let's play that. Let's play that clip. That's really on point.
But I just had a whole conversation about this with Senator Ashley Moody. And, even though you're talking about crazy ideas and socialism ideas on the left, are the Republicans up for the job? Are the Republicans ready to do what perhaps needs to be done, which is beat the Democrats to removing the filibuster to get President Trump's agenda across the finish line? I don't know about that.
Yeah, listen, we're ready. We're going to make sure we have the MAGA warriors in place in November once this election cycle moves on. We have a lot of great candidates. You got to look at some of the holdouts in the Senate. We're replacing a lot of these guys on the right and replacing with super MAGA warriors. We're going to be there. We're going to win.
Right. I got you. And, of course, that was one of the reasons that President Trump backed Ken Paxton in Texas, But look.
First off, everybody, I've known Joe Gruters for 20 years since he was in the Florida House. I'm just going to say this. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. But Joe Gruters is a naked mole rat in human form. Once you see him, once you see it, you can never unsee it.
Yeah, he's gross.
Gross.
Yeah, and this is going to be their message. And Bartiromo, obviously she always tries to tee up these people with
I know, right?
Their crazy
Let
shit.
me give you the simplest possible talking point by
Yeah.
which even your room temperature IQ can respond.
Yeah. And socialism, communism. This is just what you're going to hear. You're going to hear it constantly.
Socialism from the country that currently is buying stakes in private companies. I believe they call that seizing the means of production.
Huh. That's funny how that happens. Trump nationalizing AI coming soon. We're getting a lot of comments here about Stevens being a shill for Israel, and I just want to point something out really quick.
Yeah.
On the debate stage, we heard a lot about that. Just the other day, it was Benjamin Netanyahu criticizing Stevens for saying things about Benjamin Netanyahu that were essentially, he's not making us safer. He's not a friend. So you can say she's a shill. She can say whatever. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I listen. You gotta want the seat more than you want to make yourself feel good, folks. Fight the fight you're in. Get to the other stuff later.
That's true.
All right, let's get on to our next topic here, which is House and Senate. Hello, Democrats.
Yeah. So that's
the model now.
This is the Senate model, 52-48. That's a bare majority for Democrats. It's not filibuster proof, of course.
Pre-Platner scandal.
Pre-Platner scandal.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. I'm glad he's out. He should have dropped out. That was the right thing to do.
Yeah, listen, when the first thing hit from Lindsay Feifeld, who is a MAGA political activist and operator, I know her.
Yeah.
Okay, not closely, but I know who she is. I've known she's been around that circle for a long time, and she was the head of Ladies for Kavanaugh. She works for the JCN, which is a Leonard Leo organization. That was taken with a grain of salt appropriately. And she did not make an accusation of sexual violence or assault. This other woman did. There was enough there. The vetting process was what it was.
Yeah.
But I will also tell you guys, I'm not going to say who it is because I've been given some privileged information on it, but you're going to figure it out. Graham Platner was taken out by the Democratic Party, and they were trying to take him out from the very beginning because they wanted Janet Mills, who is ready for a nursing home, not ready for the Senate.
It is baffling. If the quote unquote establishment,
the same person who took out Al Franken, we'll just leave it there.
If the establishment of the Democratic Party wanted somebody other than Graham Platner,
yep,
the worst thing you could have done is put up an octogenarian against him.
Yep.
He's not a young guy. He's middle-aged.
Yeah.
But by comparison to Janet Mills, he is spry.
Right.
So it baffles me that we would just step on the landmine. We see that it's there, and we're going to go ahead and do it. If this oppo, I think the big question for me is if this oppo was known about pre-primary, then that's a real scandal. That is a betrayal of the party, a betrayal of the country, really.
What I'm told is that they did not know about this until it broke. That the Senate committee and the senator who in particular had a jihad against him did not know about this until it broke. But she had been working every day to get him out of that race. And with no other plan, with no other option, with nobody else in mind, they just hated him because he wasn't one of the club.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not making excuses for his behavior. I'm just saying,
no, dropping out was
you watch what the Republicans do. They will fight. Once they have their pony, they're going to ride it all the way down.
All the way.
Look,
and they treat this kind of thing very differently. And I think in some ways it's admirable that the Democratic Party has now rejected Graham Platner.
Sure.
Because, when a Republican gets the finger pointed at them for a sex scandal,
it's like, so what, cuck?
They close ranks.
Yeah.
They don't care. So
they do not care.
We have different standards on this side of the spectrum. And of course, we have to adhere to those standards. But we also have to remember that, this race was we are pinning our hopes of a Senate majority on this race in a significant way. The Democratic Party is pinning its hopes on this race. And it is, this is an element of chaos that I didn't see coming. And I don't know who the Democrats are going to put up. I do think that anyone younger than Susan Collins will have a small advantage because of that. But they need to make a quick decision, because we saw in 24 what happens when, you get too late in the cycle and you replace your candidate, you lose.
That doesn't work as well as you think it does.
Yeah. People are saying Jared Golden, but that's the governor's race.
Yeah, I don't think he's even.
He's running for governor.
Yeah, I don't think he's. Yeah, he's not in the ballpark here.
Do we have more? We have more polling, I think.
Yeah, we do. In the House.
This is a 21.
I think we're going to do better than this.
21
Honestly.
seat lead. I am feeling 28, 29, maybe 30.
Yep. I think we're going to do better than this.
But that being said, we are going to surpass a majority in the Senate. Democrats will have this. Well, I'm sorry, the House.
House, yeah.
Democrats will have the House this year. It is. There's almost no question about it. All the polling that you look at for these individual races shows Democrats winning in the seats that they need to win, defending the seats they need to defend, and it shows Republicans lagging in these seats that they are hoping to defend.
Yep.
And the idea of Republican pickups is not really there. There's no guarantees in elections, but
Nope.
This is very likely that Democrats will win the House and hold a House majority, and that's important. It's important because of accountability. There will be at least a degree of accountability for the Trump administration with Democrats in the House.
Folks, our friend Kurt Bardella, Lincoln alumni, MSNBC guy, he publishes something called the Watchdog Report on Substack. And he's another former Republican. He used to be on the staff of the Oversight Committee. He was writing a playbook for the Democrats to go in and use the oversight process smartly to try to dismantle some of the corruption and the evil and the illegality and the bullshit and the cover-ups that are going on around us every day with the Republicans. I think that House majority, the accountability function needs to be bigger than the policy function. They need to go after these people, because if they don't, if you give the Republicans 2 years to regroup, they will regroup.
Well, I mean, accountability at this point is tantamount to policy. Because if you were to let the corruption go on, the really dangerous thing is that even when Trump leaves office, that we have this kind of corruption and graft continuing, because he is setting a precedent for future presidents to do this kind of stuff. And without accountability from a Democratic held House and hopefully a Senate, corruption will become a policy. It will become the policy of future presidents.
It will be the standard issue or the standard operating procedure for the country.
Yeah.
We got a Trump poll still hovering in the shitty zone.
Yeah, people hate him. I don't know. There's really not much else to say. He is widely hated across the country.
Trump. I like to tweet at least once a week. I just throw it out there like a grenade in the Twitter room. God, Americans really hate Donald Trump. It triggers the MAGAs so much.
Well, there is this still a huge subset of people, like you said, that are in love with Donald Trump, who would die for Donald Trump. Yeah. Those people who made up his coalition,
who believe that the Islamic Republic of Japan attacked us this week.
Oh my God. Nothing is real except for the oily black stone under the East Wing.
Oily black stone, baby.
There is this huge subset of people that still cling to Trump, but the 2024 coalition, the people that drew him over the line for his second presidency, they hate him. They're done with him.
Yep.
They're done with Trump. Yep. They may not be done with Republicans entirely, but they are sour about Republicans because they have, of course, enabled all this stuff from tariffs to the rampant corruption. They have done nothing to stop it. They've done the big, beautiful bill. He's not going to sign the housing bill. TLDR.
Right. He's not signing the housing bill.
He is a terrorist in office. this screed is just another one of those word vomits. Of course, none of this means anything. His spelling of Democrats is just
he's so
lowbrow. I can't even.
This is like TLDR not reading this.
Yeah. Congratulations, or I'm sorry, but I'm not reading all that.
I just posted it. There's another, and so we talk mostly about American polling here, folks. I have a lot of stuff going on in the UK right now, also in the democracy saving business. And I want to post a poll in the Clacton by-election where Nigel Farage, who is the Timu Trump of England, is now running against a very serious candidate. If we could post that up there, I gave it to Whitney just now. Whitney and Sean should have that. In the Clacton by-election, which is
this guy anything like Vermin Supreme?
He is like Vermin Supreme. He is much like Vermin Supreme in terms of their choice of headgear. Hold on, we're gonna get there.
That's my claim to fame. I have.
You met Vermin Supreme at the 2012 Republican convention. I remember you met at that convention both Roger Stone and Vermin Supreme.
Yeah, Roger.
I let you spend time with Vermin Supreme. I was like, no, we're not talking to Roger.
Roger Stone was showing everyone his back tattoo. He loved.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Here we go. Nigel Farage, the Timu Trump, is running against Count Benface in the Clacton by-election, and I like Benface's odds right now. I really do.
Neither.
I really do. I like it a lot. We're over there in the UK at the end of this month. If I can have a Benface Wilson summit, I will do so.
Sit down interview. That'd be great.
He is. It is amazing to me. And Farage, guys, he is the Donald Trump of the UK. He's Stephen Miller, Donald Trump. He's a Putin fanboy. He's been paid off by all of these wild, corrupt crypto bros who have ties to Russia, all this crap. And he decided he would throw a by-election to try to make himself, look great. Oops. And now he's going to lose against a guy who wears a trash can on his head.
Oops. It happens. Sometimes people hate you, and you come out there and you make it worse.
The British use the C word extensively. I can't do it on an American show, but it's Ben Blankface support Benface. Anyway, I'll post it later.
All right.
So, what else we got? What else? One more thing to make Stephen Miller cry.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Immigration is good. 73% of people say it's a good thing.
There you go. How about that? This is the blowback.
I said this last year, basically. Like,
yeah, you did.
If you really clamp down on immigration, you will do this. You will reverse people's feelings about immigration. If you are, if you go full bore ICE, Greg Bovino, like that's what you get.
Right.
Republicans are even feeling better about immigration. 50% of Republicans, 73% of independents. Of course, Democrats are all for it. This is a bad sign, and this is why they're turning to things like communism. They're turning to things like communism because their old messages are falling flat.
They tried immigration earlier in the year.
They tried immigration.
They tried fraud.
They tried trans stuff. And I don't expect them to cycle out communism because they have found in their polling, we have heard.
Yeah, it legitimately is a driver for Republicans.
It does activate Republican voters.
Right.
So they're going to stick to that for a while. Sorry, Stephen Miller. It's the way it goes.
Yeah, sorry. Stephen Miller, hardest hit. Well, look, folks, we have enjoyed our time with you as always. Andrew, you're going to have a busy couple of days here coming up.
Very soon.
Coming up. Any minute now.
Maybe 10 days.
I got a grandson coming, y'all, in a few days.
It's happening.
In a few days. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for watching. As always, you can catch me on the Lincoln Project podcast. You can catch me on the breakdown, on the strategy session. You can catch every Friday on my Substack, the Friday Brief, which is a private members only briefing for what I see shaping politics and culture in the country. You can catch me and Renee on the weekends on the Weekend R&R. You can catch me on Sundays with Molly Jong Fast on Fast Politics and everywhere else apparently, because my schedule looks like a solid wall of text every day, all day. So, and I may come on live later and talk about this fucking FEC stuff, but we'll get to that.
Christ.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching Behind the Numbers as always. We wish you all the best, and we appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much for the super chats in the YouTube channel. We really, really, really appreciate it. Subscribe to Lincoln Square. Let's get going. All right. Talk to you folks later.